Hi guys, this is Roscoe and welcome to another one of my reviews. This time we have the amazing Spiderman 1/6 scale collectible figure from Hot Toys. Right, first let's go take a look at the packaging. Just like with previous releases from Hot Toys with the Marvel license, we have a shoebox style package. In this case it features an absolutely amazing artwork of the Spider-Man in action there over the city. Looks really nice, plenty of detail to this image. Also incorporates sort of a webbing style gloss over the top in certain parts. We have our Spider-Man logo on the sides. And unlike previous releases, it sort of angles back on the top here, but on the bottom it starts wider and then angles back in. It's quite a strange sort of style, but quite cool. And that's probably to resemble the angular sort of features of the webbing. So they've tried to change it up a little bit there. So overall quite cool, and I'm quite impressed with the picture they've used on the outer box here. Once you open that up, you get your cover page, showing a nice picture of the Spider-Man figure. You have your character description down the bottom. That, once you slide that off, then you get to see all the clamshell cases with the figure and the accessories. On the back of the box though, just like with all the previous Marvel releases, again, have an image of the figure and the cast and credits. So overall simple packaging, but very nice overall. Okay, accessories. You get plenty of accessories here, or hand-wise anyway. You get 8 spares, and they are very similar to the previous 2 Spider-Man figures released. They've obviously changed the design and the pattern, got more of a sort of grid-like pattern to them, a nice sort of textured feel to them, obviously different colour, but they do really resemble the original shape. So you got the open one there, so like a semi-closed, relaxed, and you have that sort of webbing shoot one, or also devil horn sort of look as well. So quite cool. So you've got plenty to choose from there, and you've got also the clenched fists, which I have on the figure at the moment. You get 4 webbing accessories. Not as many as we got with the previous Spider-Man figures. They're just the simple straight shot ones like he did in the movie. Tobey Maguire figure had the opened up ones at the end where it had a bit more web on the end, but we never saw that, I don't think, in this particular movie, so they haven't included it. You get your spare hand pegs, which are bright red, and you get your instruction leaflet. Now they've also included this extra piece on the top showing you what not to do at the shoulder joints. Now, a lot of people should be aware that there was a big uproar when the figure was first released in Hong Kong. Either the joints on the shoulders were very brittle, or they were so stiff that when people went to move them, they snapped. So if you're looking at buying this figure, I'd sort of suggest you go through the right channels. So a Sideshow or a local sort of distributor that gets their stuff from Sideshow. That way you can take it back if there's an issue and get it repaired or refund your money. Whereas if you're buying from eBay from Hong Kong, you risk getting one from the first batch and not really any way of returning it or getting it replaced, because once that breaks, there's no way to actually change the joint over. You have to rip the whole suit apart and change the body, and that's just, the figure's just going to be wrecked. There's nowhere to access the actual joint to get a replacement. So once that's broken, the whole figure's basically wrecked. So I think they fixed that problem with the batch. I know here in Australia we get the 3rd batch, so we get the Sideshow is usually the 2nd batch, and then Sideshow distributes to the rest of the world, which is the 3rd one. So far so good with mine, but I'll touch on that a little bit in a minute. So you get that, make sure you read that before you move him. You also get the Andrew Garfield head sculpt, which I don't think looked as good as a prototype, but in hand it's actually not too bad. I was expecting a little worse, but it actually does look quite close to him. You got the little cut on there, that lifelike look to him. Probably would have preferred without the cut, so you could have used it for sort of, you know, kit bash stuff and all that, but it's not that big of an issue. Now the neck joint is a lot different. It doesn't have that singular ball socket on the top. What they have is like two little prongs which clip into a square shape under the actual head sculpt. So if anyone else wanted to use this sculpt, they would have had to modify underneath it to actually use it as well. So that's a bit of a pain, but it actually works well with switching the heads over on this particular figure. Right, here we have the traditional Hot Toy stand, the Spiderman nameplate, freshly unboxed, so I haven't actually removed the plastic yet. Overall, I feel like we could have got a couple more accessories. It would have been nice if we got his backpack and a skateboard. I think that would have made this piece a lot better overall. But we got some stuff there to play around with, but yeah, I might look for a custom backpack and a skateboard for him to hold on to, just to make him a little bit more unique from the previous versions from the Tobey Maguire license or films. Right, the figure itself. Here we have the head. As you can see, that little stitching seam in the middle. It doesn't really bother me that too much. You gotta remember he made this suit himself, so it's not going to be perfect. You got the gold eyes in this case. A lot of people don't like those, but once again I like it because it's different. Obviously, because the head's able to be switched over, you do see a little bit of a seam there where it joins up. You do get good rotation in the head. It's like a ball joint up inside the sort of skull. Makes you giving plenty of sort of personality in different sort of angles. And the suit bunches up like it would in real life. It's got that nice sort of checked mesh sort of feeling to it. Now overall, this figure I had on pre-order, but because the whole shoulder breakage controversy when initially released, I was sort of reluctant not to get it. I just waited to see what was going on with the newer ones or the later batches, so waited till it came to a local store here in Australia and saw it in the actual display shelf, a different one in my store, and actually looked a lot nicer than when you see in reviews. The colours are a lot brighter, it does look a lot sleeker, it doesn't look as sort of, I felt in early reviews it did look a little bit sort of short and chunky in certain areas, but that is not the case. In person it does look really nice. So yep, I took a risk and purchased it. Have tried moving the shoulders around. Obviously I pinched the sides just to allow for no flex before the actual joint moves. So far so good. Seems pretty sturdy. So Hot Toys have sort of said don't bring your arm up past here, and some people have been complaining about that, but there's not really any chance of an arm doing a whole 180 degree movement. I don't think any figure really does that. What you need to do is sort of turn it sort of forward and then use the bicep joint and sort of twist the bicep joint around to get that higher sort of look to it. So all those cool poses you usually associate with Spider-Man you can get. You just have to sort of be a bit more creative and not just think that this one joint can just go straight up to the air. So, but I'm pretty glad that I think Hot Toys have addressed the issue. One seems fine so far, and we haven't had as many reports lately from people saying that there's a broken. Of course, the early batches they were breaking them just by moving them the smallest amount. It's just snap. I'd say that's just over tight joints and brittle plastic. But hopefully it's, all good. I had mine in action pose last night. Looked quite cool, but overall I didn't want to put too much stress on the suit. Any stress on these, just in case. And I've gone for the actual movie poster stance. Sort of a museum pose. It's quite boring, a lot of people probably think, but when you have a lot of figures, having him in these sort of poses also helps save room. And I think it just looks more like he's ready to go, like it's like come at me sort of look. So I've opted for that. It's got all the nice printing over the figure. Seems to be almost like sort of printed on rather than like a big thick sort of bit of different material transferred on. Seems to all be part of it. As I said, it doesn't look as chunky sort of in person. It does have that Andrew Garfield sort of really slender, skinny, bony look to the legs especially. I think it all comes down to how you pose him. Just like with the original Spider-Man figures, it'd look terrible if you just got it straight out of the box and left it. You really have to play around with it just to get that more natural look to the actual muscles in the body, and it sort of works out really well. Got the shoes. The shoes do arch a little bit, so they don't sit flush flat to the floor, and they sort of all pivot into a 360-degree angle. Some parts it's harder to get because the suit resists and sort of bends them back. The knees and the hip joints move, they're quite firm, but they hold poses really well. Same with the elbow joints. You do have really nice range of movement throughout. Would have liked these sort of web shooter parts to be able to be maybe put on different spots, because when you have that sort of these hands on it, would have been nice if these little web shooter parts could sit up the top so you could see them, but they sort of sit underneath. So if you have the hands upside down here, it looks like wrong. It looks wrong. But as I won't be displaying it like that, it doesn't really matter. Overall, I'm quite impressed with it, to be honest. I wasn't expecting a lot and almost wasn't going to get it because of the whole QC problems with it. As I said, so far so good, and actually do like the overall look of the figure. It does stand out in the collection with its bright red and blue colour. On the bottom of the shoes, I can't really show you, but it does have a really nice tread and pattern to the actual shoes he has in the film. Overall, very happy with it, guys. And as I said, if you want it, don't leave it too long, because if the retailers sell out, you have to resort to eBay, and then in that case you might pick up one from the earlier batches, which could be very brittle. Get it as soon as you can and try and get it from an official store, just in case it does have any problems. But if you're buying it from a third batch or even through Sideshow, I haven't heard really many people complain from their batch from Sideshow. I think Hot Toys fixed the problem pretty quickly. I don't think you'll be too disappointed, but just be careful with the shoulders nonetheless. Alright guys, thanks for watching. Hope you've enjoyed this review, and I've given you a few tips about the figure. Thanks for watching. Catch you guys later.